Good afternoon everybody, and a very warm welcome to Milton Hall and Districts. And my name's Susanna and I live with trains, and today is rail replacement part 2. But there is a lot more to this video than just rail replacement part 2. We've also got to cover some of the new additions which have arrived on the layout over the Christmas period, and then there's going to be also a separate video because some of the new additions are actually pieces of rolling stock, and there's also some stuff which has arrived over the last couple of months which you haven't actually really seen and I haven't officially spoke to you about. So this is the stuff that I also will bring up on that video, so that'll be a separate video on its own. But there is still plenty to show you, believe me, on this video, because there is a very, very big box in front of me. And just to show you, here it is. This is it does say Bachmann on it, but it's a rather big box. So I guess what we can do is focus, actually, before we go to the box. Shall we go to the layout update first? I don't know. What do we think? Tell you what, let's go to the layout update first. So the first thing you can probably tell is that there's some more fascia board painted up. So this is the fascia board I put up last time. That's all now put up in my standard blue. So that looks really, really lovely. It's really nice. And that's made a huge difference to the layout. I always think it does. It's one of my favourite things actually about doing the layout, is putting the fascia board on it, because I think that kind of gives it that kind of sign that it's kind of, I wouldn't say finished, but it looks like it's properly turned out, and it just looks more presentable, especially in my environment. Like I said, keep saying it is my living environment, so you know it's a combination of trying to live with my railway as well as just generally living. So that's the first thing that we're going to show you, and I'll carry on showing you also some more stuff. The other thing I wanted to show you, bear with me a minute, is this. This is a box of Pico Code 100 track, and I've managed to go for a lot more track than I had anticipated. I've actually gone for a whole box of 25 pieces of concrete track at $5.50 a piece. Wow. Holy schmoly. That is a lot of track. To be honest, I did get a deal on the track with Paul, but it's crazy to think that I've gone through so much track. I really didn't expect to go for a whole box of track just to do this section, but that's how it's turned out to be. There's still 3 strips to lay because I did, like I said, run out, so that's what equates to the whole box, because I kind of bought it in segments. I originally purchased a sort of what I thought I could get away with, and then it turns out that I couldn't get away with it, so I had to buy a little bit more, and even that ended up not being quite enough. Now, on the positive side of that means that hopefully now the track that I've lifted and saved will hopefully be enough to do the whole heritage line without me having to spend any more money on track. However, the caveat to that is there's still going to be point work that's going to be needed. Something I should actually mention, which I haven't mentioned, is 2 things before we get too excited into this video, is I want to wish you guys all a Merry Christmas, and I hope you had a good Christmas. Me personally, Christmas has never really been a huge thing, and as you can probably tell, I'm actually been under the weather, and I still am. I'm not 100% by any stretch of the imagination. It's all started last Saturday, and it's only yesterday that I've actually felt really, really kind of a little bit better. But as you can probably tell from my voice, I'm still a bit kind of hoarse. So forgive me for that. But yeah, so 1 whole box of that That's craziness. But anyway, we won't dwell on that too much. It's for the greater good of the layout. And the thing being is like I said, it was supposed to be a round the corner job, and this has now turned out to be a much more bigger project than I had anticipated. But despite that, I'm actually quite relishing it because I can definitely see the improvements. The track has been laid, so when I explain things to you, hopefully it will become a lot clearer as to what I'm trying to achieve. So let's get round and start showing you what I've been doing with the track work before we come to the box. So we're going to start directly behind me where I normally sit, and that will give you a better overview as to what. So the concrete sleeper track will start here, and we've still got the steel metal rule at the back there, as you can see. Now, so the idea is basically there's going to be 2 platforms, one either side, like that, and this will enable me to use the footbridge that I've currently got at Milden Hall Riverside, because I don't want to lose the footbridge. It might not necessarily make a huge amount of sense putting it here, but it's the only other place that I can put it, and I really want to use the footbridge, so it's going to go here. And we're going to split it by 2 platforms. Here is going to be the container yard lead, which we'll move on to as we get round, and I'll explain it to you. And this is all brand new track, and there's also some brand new point work, so it isn't just the 25 pieces of concrete sleeper track that's new, but some of this point work. I think there's about at least 3 new points on here, maybe 4. This is one of them. So as we start coming around here, I've put some vehicles here just to sort of just to get an idea really. I'll just park them there, see how I feel, and see what maybe can go in this odd corner. So obviously you've got the main line up and down, you've got the container yard lead, and this will be the lead that will then access the heritage yard from the main line. So that's the main line, that goes to the heritage line, and here is the heritage line here. And as you can see, we've got the main line stuff and the container yard stuff and the concrete track, and then we've got the heritage line here, which is going to be obviously the older reused and salvaged track. And as you can see, we've got the platform in already. This is the wood that I told you that I had from previously. Ignore all the stuff that's sitting on it at the moment, because that is just purely just stuff that's kind of a bit of a placeholder for things at the moment. As you can see, we have 4 coaches on here, and these are the sort of coaches to sort of test with. And here we've got a head shunt down here. Now this head shunt is long enough for 2 20s, which is the most I'm going to need. It's either 1 loco or 2 20s, but not 2 proper locos. So the 220, because the 20s usually sort of go together, so that's why I kind of made sure I had enough run round space, head shunt for the 220s. Also to make sure they've got a run round for these 4 coaches, so there's enough space to get round these 4 coaches, so that's why they're here. So that's to test the clearances. And then you've got the 2 main lines down the middle. Then you've got the this is the container yard line, and this concrete sleeper track here, that is basically terminates down there. So the idea is I can have a long container train, just to show you, coming off the point like it sort of did before, come all the way along here, all the way along, and all the way along, and then you can split the train here and carry on taking it along this lead, basically to that point there, and then you can back it in to this one here. That is the plan. Ignore these 3 pieces of track because they are new and still waiting to be laid. So we've got where we're going to put the containers. What was over there will come over here, but unfortunately I've made this slightly narrower because I've ended up encroaching a little bit more than I would have liked, but it is what it is. And the other thing along here is all of this stuff that I've done, I've had to fill it, try and level it out. So basically I've improved on what was here before, because when the track was here laid before, it wasn't quite right. So I've had to do some leveling, especially along here, where it was really quite bad. So I've had to do some filling and leveling and all the rest of it. So this point here needs a section of track, which is then going to connect to the other side of that island platform. So that one's already connected up, so I can already do a loop. But I haven't actually wired it. That's the thing. That's the one thing I haven't done any wiring yet, because I've been just laying track, and also because I've been ill, I haven't been able to get as much done as I would have liked, but I have got a lot more done. But hopefully now you can see, now I've opened it up and straightened it all out, that you can see what I'm going to do. Now along here, if I take you, forgive all the mess along here, because that's just all the lighting and everything that I've taken off the other platforms. Basically here, track's been lifted here as well. Now the reason why track's been lifted here is just because there was a point here that I wasn't going to be using anymore. So this basically will just feed in straight into that one over there, and then that track, that platform and that track, and all of this will be lifted on this side to create the space for the heritage line to then come round the back. And that is the plan. So there's still a lot more work to go, and it's a lot more than I anticipated. And a lot more expensive than I anticipated, but it's one of those jobs that once you start, you got no choice but to get on with it. So just crack on and get on with it. So that is what we're doing. So essentially, pretty much from the front end, only a small percentage, which is kind of like this bit here across to here, isn't really touched, but the majority of it is just a complete start from scratch. But I don't mind. I don't mind at all. It's one of those, like I said, once you start and you make that decision to go. I mean, originally it was supposed to be extend that track just to that corner and leave everything else as it was. But like I said in my previous video, it doesn't make sense, because you can't leave the container yard here and have the heritage line here, because then it's got to cross over here. So it makes sense to have the heritage line over there and then let it run around the back wall and along that back line, which then led to the container yard being moved over here, and then everything else is just like history as it is. So so as you can see, I've also put the sides on for the platform. So that's what I had left over. So just making use of some bits and pieces that I got left over. The platform's been painted up. I've still got to lay stuff on there to work out where everything's going to go, which leads us nicely to the box. So just before we head to the box, just to let you know, I'm actually off for a couple of weeks now, and so hopefully a lot more is going to be achieved. But there's a couple of jobs that aren't necessarily railway related, but do affect the railway. And that is, I'm going to be building a unit for my kitchen appliances. Now I know this is a bit off the wall and off the subject of it, but if any of you would like to see me actually building a custom build unit, then feel free to stick that in the comments below. Because when I built the unit for Goswell Park, Goswell Sidings, people seem to be quite interested in that. So if you are interested in seeing me build a kitchen unit and how I'm going to be doing it to put my appliances on, then fine, stick that in a comment and I will video record it as a kind of oddball video, as it were. But that will affect the railway, because the railway is going to go via that way. So that's why it needs to be done, and it needs to be done sooner rather than later. And also whilst I'm off. The other thing whilst I'm off is, if you look at the wall behind me, it's currently white and it needs painting. It definitely needs painting in some sort of colour, so it can't, I could just repaint it white, but it doesn't really make too much sense. So I'm probably going to end up repainting that wall in the same colour as the rest of it, in the blue. And it kind of makes sense that before I do any more scenic work and put the station and start building the stations along the back, so before I put Chaston Road Station back in its new configuration, it just kind of makes sense just to paint the wall. So if there's any kind of paint, I can remove the back scene, so that's not a problem. So if there's any sort of splatter or anything like that, then it can just, it's not going to damage anything, basically is what I'm saying. Right, now onto the box. This is a rather big box, and it's a rather heavy box too. This is all to do with my Heritage Railway. This is not, I should actually point out probably, just in case anyone does get confused. This isn't a like an Oxford die-cast mystery box or some sort of mystery purchase box that you just get some random things in it. I know it's just a load of stuff in one big cardboard box. That's what it is. Just not to be confused with one of those kind of, I know a lot of companies tend to do mystery boxes nowadays, but this isn't one of them. This just happens to be a load of stuff that I've bought, and to keep it all together is to put it all in one big box. And this one big box contains a fair amount of money, to be honest. I'm going to start by showing you, just in case for those of you who haven't seen the video before on the last one, I'll just quickly go over bits that I bought before. So, like I said, I've been focusing my energies on, that's my big plan. I suppose I could tell you this, but really my big thing for 2025 is going to be to get the Heritage Line built. And the other thing I'm probably going to be doing over the 2025 is possibly relaying some of the track, some of the non-concrete sleeper track, and configuring and upgrading that to concrete sleeper. So the main line would be mainly concrete sleeper track, but that's going to be, at the moment, while things are going all right, if there isn't a necessity, I'll just leave it as it is. So just as the time comes, I will get on and do that. But my main thing is to do with the Heritage Line. Now, as many of you know, I do like scratch building, and I've scratch built a lot, and I will be scratch building Chaston Road Station in a similar style to Mildenhall Riverside. But there's certain things that I know I'm not particularly good at, especially for scratch building, and that's to do with like station buildings and stuff like that. And so therefore, what I decided to do is buy some station buildings. And like I said on my previous video, for those of you in case you missed it, I bought, Hornby did a Black Friday sale, and there was more than 50% off. So although I spent a lot of money on these buildings, I didn't spend anywhere near as much money as I could have done. And I saved a lot. And it goes for all the rest of it as well. So I bought, for those of you who didn't see it, and I haven't decided exactly where they're going to go yet on the layout, but there's, at the moment, there's going to be 3 stations on the Heritage Line, and at the moment, as things stand, all 3 are covered. But I'm debating, and I'll tell you why. So at the moment, I'm still debating on whether or not where they're going to be positioned, which station building is going to go where, and all the rest of it. So I haven't quite decided. But currently, as things stand, I've got enough station buildings to cover the 3 stations. However, there is a caveat to that. I am contemplating using one of these station buildings to upgrade Goswell Park Station, which is the drop-down one, which is the one that goes across the door, and replacing that kind of Metcalf sort of card one, which I think I paid £3 second hand or something for it. So I'm thinking of doing that. So if I do that, then I'm going to have to get another building, which I've seen, which I really like, which is also very, very expensive. It is what it is. So, yeah. Anyway, so the first building is this Southeastern Station building, but it comes as a set. And I showed you this on the last one. Now, I don't think I've taken it out of the boxes, but that's them two there. Like I said, Hornby did their did their Black Friday sale a few weeks ago, and these two were on the sale. Along with that is the matching signal box, which I bought. So those are 3 bits there, and the other thing I bought, which I'm going to show you. I'll put that one over there for a minute because I'll talk to you separately about that. As a little kind of, when I got one of my pieces of rolling stock the other day, purely by chance, kind of a bit like the red Biffa lorry I bought, I come across this vehicle, which as soon as I saw, I thought, I've got to have it on my collection. And that is this little yellow Mini Cooper S. And let me just check, it just says Mini Cooper, but it is, because you can tell by the exhaust in the back end. It's a Mini Cooper S, and it's just so cute. And it's the newer version as well. I've got some of the older version Minis that Oxford Diecast did, and I've got this one. And obviously, those of you who know, I do actually drive around in a Mini. Not as nice as this one, has to be said. She's a bit long in the tooth now, my little girl, but she's still running around. So then the other big thing that I spent money on, and I have to say, if you were to buy what I'm about to show you at its full retail price, honestly, it is just stupid money. However, I didn't pay full retail price by any stretch of the imagination for any of these bits that I'm going to show you. So here it is. This is the Batman Syncraft. So as soon as you mention Syncraft buildings, you know it's not cheap. This is the Bluebell Railway Station building. Now, the booking office. Now, those of you who know, I have a newfound love of the Bluebell Railway. Like I mentioned in a few of my videos now, it's that my trip to the Bluebell Railway had a profound effect on me, because it was a period in my life where I was going through a bit of a tough time, to be honest, and I was pretty down in the dumps. And my doctor always used to say to me many years ago, he said, because I've always suffered with mental health issues, and he always used to say to me, you know, when you go through these periods, that you should just concentrate on the things that mean something to you and that kind of make you feel good. And so I decided to take a trip to the Bluebell Railway that time, when things weren't so great, and I went on my own, and quite frankly, that was good. It doesn't bother me going on my own. I mean, it's always lovely to meet other YouTubers, which I did actually meet somebody there that day, for those of you who watched that video. And I went to, and the fact was, it was like in autumn. I think it was in autumn, November. I think it's autumn sometime. I think it's September, October, or something like that. I can't remember now. And I went for the diesel gala, and there wasn't that many people around, and the weather was pretty much like it is today. To be honest, it was rather kind of dull and gloomy, and you know, and it was pretty quiet, and that's what I liked actually. And I just really enjoyed the day out. And I went to Kingscote Station, And I didn't know at the time, and I only found out just by trawling the internet, quite frankly, because I was just looking for station buildings that I liked for my heritage line. But I was quite open-minded as to what I was going for, and as it turned out, Batman do the Bluebell Railway set. And this is only part of the set. This building is only part of the set. So you can, and if you look at this picture here, you can get it in this kind of crimson kind of style, which is, I think, is the Sheffield Park version, or you can get it in this version, which is the green version. And if you turn the box around, that is the complete set. And that is the complete set for Kingscote Station. And I've got some great memories of that whole set and that whole day out at that station. Guess what? I've got the whole set. So that includes the booking office. This is the Bluebell office and storeroom. The canopy, and it's also got a there's also, I think it's a hut. I think it's like a ticket hut, possibly. And the Bluebell waiting room and toilet block to make the whole complete set together. Now, because of the expense of it, and I mean expense, it is expensive, but like I said, I managed to get, essentially, I think probably you could take one of these buildings out, probably one of either the canopy would have been free, or maybe this building would have been free. So basically you would have got one of these for free with the savings that I'd made. So I'd made a lot of savings. So although the initial sort of outlay on it was quite expensive to get the whole lot, I did manage to save myself a lot of money on it. But to me, it was more than about money. It was more about, I loved it, and it was well worth doing. It's well worth, pushing the boat out. I mean, when you think about how much you spend on money on locomotives and stuff like that, and how much it costs you to buy locos and stuff. But like I said, we haven't even got to the rolling stock yet. But the thing being is that this actually meant something to me, and I really, really enjoyed my day out on the Bluebell Railway, and no doubt I will be back there next year. It was a bit of a pain to get there last time, but that was mainly because of SWR and their constant rail replacement service. Hence the video, which they're again doing this year. It's just constant, and it's just a bit awkward to get anywhere at the moment because of the constant engineering works. So essentially it's just like, if I could get there and there's no engineering works, it's not too bad. I mean, because I only have to go to Clapham Junction from here and then change to go to East Grinstead, so that's only one change, so it's not a million miles from here. It is, like I said, it's a bit awkward to get to because you have to sort of go backwards to go forwards kind of thing, but it's well worth doing, and I will definitely be back there. I had such a lovely time there. It was such a beautiful place. I had so many lovely memories there, and to have that on my layout as a permanent fixture, that's just more than its weight in worth in gold. It just really is. It's just like, and I'm just debating where I'm putting it. I am contemplating putting it on the Chaston Road end rather than over in that far corner, because I think over in that far corner it would be hidden, but I haven't decided yet. Now, Mildenhall is the station in the middle. And this is the station that I've got for Mildenhall. Now this is exactly the same building as the one I've got at St Anne's, but I've modified the one at St Anne's. But this is the station building that you get, and this is how it looks at the moment, like this. I'll show you the one that because I brought that one over, the one that I've got from St Anne's. I brought it over, and I'll show you the kind of modifications that I made. I made this into a London a South Western Railways or South West Trains kind of colours. The reason for this, this was kind of based on a station that I remembered at St Margaret's, which is on the South Western Railways, South West Trains network. And the station building was a very similar kind of deal to this. And the colours were very similar, and I liked it, which is why I copied it. And I am considering creating an exact same copy on that other station building, to paint it into these colours again, but use this building, the other building, for this one here, for Goswell Park, and maybe getting a different building for Mildenhall station instead, which is what I'm thinking of doing. So you can see what I've done with this building is I've had to paint the inside because that one isn't painted. I've also modified it because I've painted the door frames and all the kind of top pieces here, all in the blue. So I've accented the whole building. So it's less GWR and more sort of SWR, or South West Trains, I should say, because I think that these sorts use similar colours, but this was more based on the South West Trains. Also got the newspapers, like when we had the metros being delivered, and got the station name St Anne's there. On this side, I sort of, as you can see, I've painted the doors, added the disabled ramp on here, put some more station signage and all the rest of it, platform numbers there. So I've really kind of modified this and actually put some ticket machines and some station information board signage as well on there. So that is St Anne's Station. And I think this video has been going on long enough, to be fair. And I'm also a bit dubious as to whether or not this video will come out. The reason being is that there may be some sort of sporadic videos because I've got issues with my computer at the moment. And I think it's dying on me. So I might have to invest on a new computer as well. So I hope not. I hope I can get by with the way it is, but we'll see. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. And the next time you see this layout, hopefully we'll have some trains running on it and maybe a bit more progress in terms of the way things are looking. But at least now, hopefully you'll have a rough idea of where we're going with it and how it's going to turn out. So until the next time, my name's Susanna and I live with trains. Goodbye.